Hi, it's Rachel here, host of E-commerce Agency Wisdom, the YouTube series where we have guests from across the e-commerce landscape. And the question is, what I wish I knew about X. Today, we're joined by John, the founder of Avex. I assume most people in the industry, or especially the Shopify space, will know John or know Avex, either because of the amazing portfolio of work that Avex has worked with, or John's extensive tattoos, charming personality, and Brooklyn vibes. So today what we're going to be talking about, a very loose topic, is going to be about positioning. I know that John and I could probably record a million of these and have lots of different things to talk about. But today we're going to talk about what I wish I knew about positioning, and as an agency, what you can do to get ahead.
So there's a few things, and I think they relate to one another when we talk about positioning, and then also how the different ways that you could win a project, either based off of positioning or how you were included into the deal. Um, One thing that I feel like I wish I invested more in, especially in the early days, were building a network, whether that's of consultants or of other connections who could be lead sources, right? That's really important because when we were smaller, we were able to differentiate ourselves with either services or case studies and just the quality of work. And we were able to stand out. And that did help build some really great case studies that we have. And it helped to establish our name in the space. But as we started to grow and get bigger and become more buttoned up, we started to compete. And to this day, we're competing with some really great agencies. So when a partner may loop us into a project, or to a deal, we're not going up against two or three unknowns. We're going up against some really great agencies that have similar differentiation, and they are doing very similar services and have similar case studies of our size. So, when you have three really great agencies that are pitching for the same deal, you don't want it to be a race to the bottom with pricing, and you don't want that to be your differentiator, right? For some agencies, maybe price is your differentiator and you're positioning yourselves as being one of the most affordable agencies in the space. But if you're doing that, chances are you're not competing at a larger scale with some of the best agencies in the space, especially if you're competing on price. So if you're selling a premium service and you're charging a premium for that service, and you have great case studies and you're platform specific and you've niched down, or you have a specific service offering or specific value prop, chances are the other agencies have the same thing or an equivalent of. So what ends up being the deal breaker, or why you get chosen, is one, how you position yourselves and how that prospect came to you, and the work that you've done. But two, who do you know in this space? And as we've gotten bigger, who you know, and if you have a champion within that organization, becomes uh, the reason why you may win or lose a deal. So when we look at a deal, and we look at a few different things, and positioning does play a role here. So we want to make sure that, one, we have the right to win. Does this fit our ICP? Do we have case studies for this? Have we done the exact same thing? Are we the perfect fit for this project? And reason why positioning plays a role here is because if a prospect comes to us and they know the work that we've done and they see how we position ourselves in the market, we don't need to go through the whole pitch of selling them on why Avex. They already selected us as being a viable option for the project and to deliver on their requirements. So positioning plays an important role here. And if they come in with that, it already ticks that box of them knowing who we are and knowing that we're a fit for the project. But the other two things are having a champion within the organization and being the advantage player. So having a champion within the organization is really great to have from the start, especially if you've built your network and you know someone there who's brought you into that. It could be a consultant, it could be a past client that moved from one job to another. Those are the best deals to be in if you have that champion internally. And typically, if you have a champion there, you're probably the advantage player. Now, what's the advantage player? The advantage player, and this was spoken about on some podcasts and some books in the industry about being that advantage player. So I didn't come up with that term, but When you're an advantage player, you know you know that you have the advantage there, whether you were selected because you're friends or you've worked with them before in the past, or you have a proven track record of working with that brand, or someone who works at that brand. If you don't know who the advantage player is, chances are it's not you, right? And you need to then go into that deal knowing that you don't have the advantage and making a decision whether you want how much you want to invest in that. And this all ties into positioning too, right? Because if you're positioning yourself really strongly, you're positioning yourself on the services that you offer, your value prop, your ICP, that means that these brands are coming to you, these prospects are coming to you, knowing already what you've done and what your successes are. So you tick that box. And if that's the case, chances are you do have a champion there because they came to you for that reason. So it's a much smaller level of effort to convince them that you should be the one to do this. The bonus is the advantage player. Now, you're not always going to have the advantage player, but it drastically increases your chances of winning by 5 orders of magnitude, right? Having someone in there that you know and that you've built a network with, and you have multiple people in these different brands that you could leverage, that's great to have. But you don't always want to back out of a deal if you don't have the advantage player, because sometimes there isn't one. Sometimes they're really just looking for a new agency. But more often than not, there is. And you need to either find out who that advantage player is and whether you want to invest your time into this deal, or if the deal is big enough for you to invest your time, even though you know that you're not the advantage player. But we try to identify those three things when we're coming into a deal to see how much effort we should put into winning it. And also it plays a role in forecasting of, hey, what's the chances of us winning this deal, and how should it play in forecasting when it comes to finances and budgets that we're focusing on. But really, it starts with the positioning. How do you position yourselves in the market? Can you build a network of champions and potentially become that advantage player in as many deals as possible?